And to welcome all those who watch us. I would like to send my warmest regard to the World Muslim Communities Council in particular, and I would like to thank them very much. I would like to thank the World Muslim Communities Council for hosting this series of webinars. I was born in Belgium, and maybe my Arabic is not as good as it should be, but God willing, I will do my best to deliver the message as clearly as possible. The key objective is to deliver the message and to benefit from one another's experience. Coexistence is very important because it's one of the ways that peoples and nations get to know one another globally. Of course, I was raised and I grew up in this community in Belgium. It's a multi-religious, multicultural community. It has different ethnicities. I was born and I live the concept of coexistence here. I was born in Belgium and I live in Belgium. The message of Islam is a message of coexistence. Almighty Allah sent prophets and messengers to all nations and to all peoples with the objective of worshipping Almighty Allah. And after Prophet, peace be upon him, moved on to Medina to establish the Muslim state in Medina, he found in Medina Jews and Christians and followers of different faiths, and therefore he gave them the rights and made them have their own rights and responsibilities, and he coexisted with them in the best possible manner. And we see that Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us that we should accept to live with those who adopt a different religion. And we should be keen on peaceful coexistence with them. All of us have been created from, please forgive me for this noisy voice in the background. All prophets, lived in peace with other people. They exercised certain professions and they practiced certain professions. They did not live in isolation in the hermits away from the entire world. No, they lived with the community. They coexisted with the community. They used to eat and live in the community, and they lived with the poor and with the rich and coexisted completely with the entire community. That is why an Imam and a Sheikh has to live with the people, live among the community members. This is the real concept of da'wah, how to live with all people in the community, not to isolate yourself in a mosque and be different from others. You should not be different from others. You are just like all other people. All people have the same origin. They come from the same origin, from the same parents, Adam and Eve. For Almighty Allah created all humanity from a single pair of humans, and from which all humanity was created. So all humans were created by Almighty Allah, and they have joint values, and they have to live with a sense of dignity without any discrimination among them. This is based on the concept that humans have human dignity, regardless of their religion or ethnicity or any other elements. As the members of the community, they all are more like a single family, and they have certain rights and obligations. As Allah said, we have honored the children of Adam. So the children of Adam received honor from Almighty Allah. So Almighty Allah honored them. So there is no room for hatred, and we should deliver the message of Islam, the message of peace and love. We cannot deliver this message if our hearts are filled with hatred and rejection of others. How can we become role models in our conduct, in our behavior, in the way we deal with each other, in the way the approach we deal with one another? So all of our prophets have been pure and peaceful. They never hurt anyone. Our dear brothers and sisters, how can we claim that we are Imams and delivering the message of Almighty Allah to others and reject other people? We cannot reject Jews and Christians and non-Muslims if we reject them, how can we call to the path of Almighty Allah? So we should not say that we don't like to live with them or work with them or travel with them or convene in meetings and events with them. We should be keen on that. I'll give you an example. Here in Belgium, we succeeded in establishing genuine dialogue and have real participation in social life. For example, we have joined sports and cultural activities. Even it's not necessary to be religious activities so we can participate in them. Being able to live in the community and peacefully coexist in the community, you live in a certain city and you live in a certain village where there are Muslims, Jews, Christians. You should seek to have friends. You should seek to have friends from all walks of life and from all religions. You should be able to assist them. You should be able to help them. If you are a role model to them, they will say, this individual is unique. He has great moral values. He has a great deal of patience and compassion and love for good. For example, there's the suburb society that focuses on cleaning streets and finding some solutions to the problems that we have in the suburb. And we have daily activities. We have open days. Maybe a street is closed for a certain activity and everyone would give out some food and we would have a small party to get to know one another among the neighbors and be generous to one's neighbors, or even to travel with them, or to participate in a cycling contest or a fishing society, or participate in a sports club or a sports group for football or for basketball, or travel with those members, different members of the community. This is how we can obtain peaceful coexistence. The problem that we face here sometimes is that some people live in isolation, or they reject to integrate in the community. They reject to live with others. We find suburbs where we have only Muslims or people from Muslim origins, from Pakistan or from Somalia or from Morocco and Turkey and Germany. They gather in a single suburb. All of them gather in a single suburb. And this, of course, I'm not making any generalizations here, but some people, in some cases, we have some newcomers to the city and they don't know the laws of this country and they do not respect the rules of cleanliness and public order. So all of them live in a single suburb, and this distorts the image of Islam and Muslims. Even if we have 10 mosques in that suburb, in a single mosque, in a single street, we may have 3 mosques. A mosque for the Moroccans and Kurds, a mosque for the Albanians, a mosque for the people coming from Afghanistan or Afghani Muslims, and another mosque for the Somali Muslims and Asian Muslims, and so on. Why do we have this discrimination? One day I proposed among some of our brothers in a meeting for the Mosque Federation, I advised them to sell all the buildings that they have and to put those funds in a joint fund and to have a strategic plan of what we will need in the future, what we will need as a Muslim expatriate group living here, or as Muslims living in this community. What can we offer to the local community? For example, how many mosques do we need? How many sports centers do we need? How many centers do we need for young people? We need to have a well-studied plan. We have random work in terms of Islamic work. This is why we have not achieved much progress. Thank God there are benevolent individuals and there are donors and there are beneficiaries from all of these donations, but we don't have a unified strategy. A mosque is established and it conducts a fundraiser and gathers a huge amount of money. But how is that money spent? Where does it go to? what does it go to? It goes to building more walls without any strategy and without any outcome. That is why Islamic work should be organized. It should not be purely Islamic work. It should also include social work or activities that benefit the entire community, activities that benefit the entire country. Because you are living in a country and in a society, you should shoulder the responsibilities of this community. You should be keen on benefiting this community. You should be keen on the development of the country where you live and boost its security, and be keen on providing benefits to those who live in that community and supporting the elderly, for example, and to seek to find solutions and to have participation even with political parties, and to convene with them and to give out your opinion and express your opinion and discuss laws and regulations and to give them advice to be highly beneficial to the country where you live. This is something that I've been preaching for many years. I was raised here in Belgium, and I've learned Arabic in Belgium. I did not speak Arabic in the past. When I was young, I did not speak Arabic. I learned Arabic and I studied Arabic, and I traveled to Arab countries to benefit from those aspects of knowledge and to bring back this knowledge to people in Belgium. So we should respect all individuals. Almighty Allah does not forbid you from those who do not fight you in your religion and do not drive you out of your homes to be just and compassionate with them. So people should be compassionate. Muslims should be compassionate and should be just to others. This is something that should be manifested in our conduct. Praise be to Almighty Allah. Of course, when we returned from studying when I finished studying in a number of institutes and Islamic universities, the first thing that we conducted here is communication with the societies that pay attention to interfaith dialogue. And I participated in a number of meetings with them, praise be to Almighty Allah. And every week we used to visit a mosque or a synagogue or a temple or a church, even Buddhists. And the followers of other religions, the Krishna, the Christians, the Christian community, with all the different sects, Catholic, Protestant, and Mormons, and others. Praise be to Almighty Allah, we initiated dialogue with them. And this has been going on for many years. Actually, we faced some difficulty. Even when I received the delegations that were visiting the Islamic Center or the mosque, I would communicate with the officials at the Islamic Center. I would tell them that on this particular day, we will have a number of visitors coming to the mosque. I will have a number of leaders or a number of the students or a number of non-Muslim individuals who will come to visit the mosque. And they say they have to be wearing veil and they have to be doing this and we have to take all the precautions, so and so. Come on. We need to be fully aware that those have come to get to know our religion. We should not impose any restrictions on them. The objective here is to communicate with them. Thank God we welcomed thousands of non-Muslims and we tried to introduce the religions to them. And we also wanted to know the religions because we don't know much about the religions. In the 1970s and the 1980s, we had Imams and Sheikhs here in mosques, and they would call for jihad, and those are the Jews and Christians, and Almighty Allah curses them. And even we as young individuals, we were still seeking our pathway in life. When I heard such Imams back then in the 1970s and 1980s making this type of rhetoric, when I was a young man or a child back then, I had Jewish friends and Christian friends, and they would say, how do they do that? I did not understand that type of rhetoric, extremist rhetoric. I did not understand that extremist rhetoric at all. But this has changed now. And I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude to the United Arab Emirates for adopting the approach of communicating with the entire world. Now the UAE is a role model at the international level in this domain. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, and our dear brothers and sisters, this is something that has a major impact on people's feelings. When we have a new Muslim, I'll tell you a story. When I was 16 years old, a Belgian woman came to me and said, I have embraced Islam, but my husband does not love Islam and hates Islam and Muslims and Arabs. But he loves me, and he brought me to the mosque. He respected my decision. And I went to the other Imam, and the other Imam asked me to divorce my husband. He said, he's an infidel and an enemy to Islam, and you must divorce him. So she told me, I cannot divorce my husband. What can I do? I sat with her and I spoke to her extensively. And he said, and I told her, you should be generous to your husband and deal with him kindly. And we supplicate Almighty Allah to guide him to the righteous path. A few weeks later, and by email, she sent me a thank you email and saying that I would like to thank you very much for what the piece of advice you offered me. And thank God, my husband embraced Islam and converted to Islam. So many years later, even her children who were aged 20 and 21, 2 years later, they converted to Islam. Her daughter married a Muslim young man, and her son married a Muslim young woman. And now she has Muslim grandchildren. And now we have a center for new converts to Islam. So I keep saying that the rhetoric and the religious rhetoric that we use must be balanced and rational. Unfortunately, we have failed to project the proper image of Islam. Everyone here projects the image of Islam according to their own culture. We have a Turkish Muslim who is projecting Turkish culture, and a Pakistani Muslim is projecting the Pakistani culture, and so on and so forth. All of them are unhappy with the statements made by Macron, and every one of them is using harsh words against those statements of Emmanuel Macron. But you shouldn't do that. You should be a role model. You should use disciplined language. You should be a role model in your ethical values and in your religion, in the cultural domain, in the artistic domain, in the business domain, in the field of worship. You should be a role model. If you do that, everybody will follow in your footsteps. That is why, my brothers and sisters, coexistence is highly important in our religion. Our religion is a great religion. But our misunderstanding of this religion in some cases, and according to one's own experience, some people really isolate themselves from the community. They live in isolation and they don't interact with anyone except Muslims or Muslims like them. Racism is widespread everywhere. There are those who are proud of their tribe. There are those who are proud of their ethnicity. There are those who believe that they are better than others because of their ethnicity. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us that we should be compassionate and love good for everyone and wish good for everyone to all people from all ethnicities, regardless of their skin color, because the most honored among you in front of Almighty Allah is the most pious one. So that is why we should be dealing with others in a very proper manner and compassionate manner, because we live with them and we live among them, and we should be keen on assisting the people and helping the people with whom we live. Someone may say, how come you live with infidels, with unbelievers? You will never enter paradise. Praise be to Almighty Allah. How can someone say something like that? This is a strange rhetoric. My dear brothers and sisters, this is the message that I deliver to you. We should be keen on invoking da'wah and sending out the message of da'wah. Yet we should have awareness of modern sciences, and we should change our conduct and our approach. We should be role models to others. You are a Sheikh or an Imam. It does not mean that you necessarily have to wear the traditional Islamic garb and lock yourself in your mosque and stay only at the mosque and give sermons only. No, you should interact with others, even with those who hate you. I live in an area where many of them vote for the right-wing parties. I live with them and I interact with them. I will tell you a story of an event that took place. It took place more than 20 years. I work in a transportation company and I sit with a number of colleagues. Most of them are not Muslims. One of them was an extremist who rejects Arabs and Muslims entirely. And he had been working with me for a while, and I was dealing with him with a great deal of respect and dealing with him kindly. So one day he came and started weeping. I listened to his problem and I listened to the issue that he has. He was a member of, he was one of the active members of a right-wing party. And he said to me, "You are different from all my Belgian friends." And I said that I'm a Muslim and we love good for everyone. And we want everybody to be in good condition and happy. So his perception of Islam was radically transformed and changed completely. We should be kind to others, to everyone, even with those who disagree with us, even with those who hate us. All those who have had a bad experience, or maybe some of them had a negative experience with someone. Maybe a Muslim stole their money, or abused them, or stole their property, or harmed them in a way or another. Of course, unfortunately, there are many of those Muslims who do not abide by the laws, and so those individuals who have had a negative experience with a Muslim have a wrong perception of Islam. And we need to correct that misconception. We can do that by dealing with those individuals in a way that is compassionate and kind, and offering help, and to be the way and to act the way Almighty Allah wanted us to. And to follow the example of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. There are many examples in the Prophet's tradition and in the Prophet's life of how Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to live in Mecca and how he used to live in Medina. In Mecca, Prophet Muhammad faced many aggressions and many problems and many difficult situations. How did he act during those difficult situations? We need to build the society of peace, a society full of love and compassion. Yet, our participation should be an active one in the community. We should have active participation in the community. We found that many individuals say, "Oh, you are Muslims, so you claim that you embrace many values, but your conduct show otherwise or reveal otherwise." There are societies and mosques. I sat with one of the senior accountants who has a large accounting office in Belgium. He said to me, "I have heads of mosques coming to me, and when I ask them about the income of the mosque, and I see that there are certain problems, and I see that they lie, they cheat. How come the head of the administration of a mosque be so doing such things or committing such bad deeds?" And this really causes a great deal of perplexity and confusion among those individuals. So we have many issues that we don't respect. We have many values that we don't respect and do not uphold. That is why we should be keen on calling to good deeds and projecting the true image of Islam. Sorry, we have had internet connection was interrupted. Sorry, please go on. That's why we have only 3 minutes, and we'll complete our lecture in 3 minutes. So the objective here is to be doing good deeds and helping others. I live in a city where we have a large number of Orthodox Jews. they are wearing the traditional Jewish clothes, and they have more than 13 schools, and their schools are considered hardline schools and extremist schools. They have many temples. Even those Jews, we have a good relationship with them. And we have joint elements and common grounds with them. Things that have to do with religious practice, and there are political parties that want to introduce laws and pass laws that are restrictive to all religions. So we cooperate with those Jews to face these common challenges. So we should be keen on providing good deeds and conducting good deeds and helping others. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. May Almighty Allah bless all of you, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much, Sheikh Nordine Taouil. Thank you very much for all what you have pointed out and all the information you have kindly pointed out, and the examples and stories you have told us about peaceful coexistence, whether in Belgium or in generally at the international level. And what are the prerequisites for ensuring that we have a tolerant community, or to shape a community that is full of tolerance and hope? You have spoken of noble morals and sublime values, and how we can be role models in this regard, and how we can get to know other people's religions so that they would also get to know Islam. And you have pointed out of the need for peaceful coexistence among all religions and all ethnicities. You have spoken about the experience of mosques, or how mosques express a certain ethnicity or a certain background. We should ask a question here. Actually, don't you have a strategy to address this issue in Belgium or in Europe in general? Because we are talking about the experience of peaceful coexistence, but there are segmentations, as we see. Do you have a strategy? Does the Muslim community in Belgium have a certain strategy to address this point, to boost peaceful coexistence? Yes, we do have a strategy, even with the government entities. We seek to have mosques or Islamic centers that will be dedicated to all Muslims and not to people from a certain ethnicity or background, because the mosques that we have now are more like cultural centers. They represent the country of origin, or the culture of the home countries of the people who established them. 20 years ago, I said this to Muslims. When I go into a mosque, I don't want to see in front of me the flag of Turkey, for example. I don't want to see the Turkish flag in the mosque. I came to the mosque to worship Almighty Allah, not to visit a certain culture. So this is a problem that we have in Belgium. We have mosques that are funded by Turkey, and the imams in those Turkish mosques are appointed by Turkish authorities. And they spread a Turkish and an Ottoman culture. So, for example, we have in Belgian mosques, we have had a major issue in this regard, and we have had a major discussion about the educational curricula taught in those mosques. Those educational curricula were prepared in Turkey. So how come they are taught in Belgium? We are Belgian Muslims. How come we find our students going to those mosques and those learning there, studying Turkish history? Here we are Belgian Muslims. We are not Turkish Muslims or any other Muslims. So we have a strategy to collaborate with the executive authority here, and because there are influences by different countries that want to hijack the values of Muslims in the West. So we need to have genuine Muslims. We are also dealing with a large number of Muslims who come. We have a large number of Belgian Muslims who come from Belgian origin. They say, we are Muslims, we love Islam, and we love our own culture. We love the traditions of our own country, as long as they are not in contradiction with Islam. That's what we want. So there is a strategy. God willing, we'll be implementing it. I have interactions with many political parties and political figures and the members of the Muslim community to shape a project for regulating mosques.
الإسلامية إدارة المساجد لها تخطيط مستقبلي.
Even in Muslim countries, we have future plans for management of mosques. Even mosques, there has to be a certain distance between mosques, and there are rules for safety and security, and ensuring that we have a safe distance for encompassing the total number of Muslims, and not to disturb people living around the mosque, whether by going out late or by leaving the mosque late at night. So we need to regulate all the affairs of Muslims. Here in Belgium, we have 1 million Muslims in Belgium. So we have a large number of Muslims. We have more than 350 mosques that need to be regulated and organized. And God willing, we will be working on regulating them and enhancing them and changing them in a way that makes them have a bright future. But of course, we are facing different ethnicities and different ideas and even different sects. So this is a major challenge for Muslims in Belgium to be able to organize their own affairs and to make sure that the key and primary objective for future generations is to have this kind of proper management. The officials of mosques are just have a limited mentality. They just want to remain in charge of the mosque and to serve their own agenda or implement the agenda of their home countries. So this is something that causes many ramifications for future generations. Now we see that Muslims are not comfortable in mosques. They see that their imams are not speaking in their own language. They don't understand their own language. They don't understand their own culture. Many things and many issues that need to be addressed. Thank you very much, Sheikh Nordine. The ethical values are the encompassing element that has the values of compassion and loving good deeds and being benevolent and participation in all the cultural and social activities and coexistence with all religions. These are the elements that shape the framework for peaceful coexistence with all countries of the world. The last question is, can you give us some examples? You have spoken about Jews and your experience in dealing and peaceful coexistence with Jews and people from other religions. Can you give us an example of how you peacefully coexisted with Muslims and non-Muslims in Belgium, and some realistic examples or some examples from reality, examples from our own reality? So we have many such examples of Muslim young people who have successfully achieved great things in Belgium. We have a Muslim speaker of parliament. He comes from Moroccan origin, and he prays with us in the mosque. So we have many members of parliament and many members of municipality councils who are Muslims and who participate actively in the development of Belgium. We do have peaceful coexistence, but in many cases, in order to be in middle ground between the first generation and the second generation. For example, we had a young man from a Bengali origin, and he wanted to marry a lady from a Moroccan origin. Both parents rejected this marriage. They said, this is an Italian individual. He is not from Arab origins. How come he marry our daughter? So I sat with them and I discussed it with them. And I said to them that they should be open-minded. And thank God they accepted him and let him marry their daughter. So we have many such examples, but we still have some extremist families or families adopting hardline approach. So peaceful coexistence means that we can marry one another and we can live with one another. And we see Islamic shops, for instance, that have high quality products and provide high quality services and products. So even non-Muslims come to those shops and those stores. They buy their own goods, whether we're talking about meat or any other products, and they see that Muslims are clean and they are keen on quality and they pay attention to all of these elements. So up till now, even some stores are not paying the proper attention to the laws and regulations of the country in terms of observing cleanliness and paying taxes and being well committed to the law. So we have many examples of peaceful coexistence and successful role models of Muslims in Belgium, whether in the field of medicine and in the field of caring for the elderly and other instances of peaceful coexistence that Muslims are actively engaged in them. We don't have a negative outlook. We have a positive outlook, and we see many positive contributions from Muslims. In Livon, the cultural city, we have a mayor, a Muslim mayor. So we need to see more such examples. We need to see Muslims taking the lead and not Muslims in jail or selling drugs or distorting the image of Islam. We want to see Muslims becoming role models to others in such domains, and thank God we have such examples and we are successful in this regard.